Stop looking at the inflation print. Stop looking at the unemployment numbers. Those are lagging indicators. They are ghosts of an economy that has already died. If you want to see the future of your purchasing power, you need to look at the hull of the USS Abraham Lincoln in the last 48 hours. The most significant signal in global finance was not broadcast from the Federal Reserve. It was broadcast from the transponders of a carrier strike group in the Malacca Strait. The data is unequivocal. The United States Navy has pivoted. This is not a drill. This is not a routine exercise. This is a kinetic prepositioning for a structural fracture of the global supply chain. The Abraham Lincoln is not sailing toward a port of call. It is sailing toward a war zone. And where that ship goes, your cost of living follows. The mainstream narrative wants you to believe that the Red Sea is opening up. They want you to believe that Operation Prosperity Guardian was a success. The data suggests this is a lie. The data suggests that we are witnessing the total kinetic closure of the most vital artery in global trade. The movement of the USS Abraham Lincoln from the Asia-Pacific theater to the Central Command Area of Responsibility is the single most expensive geopolitical signal of the year. You do not move a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier halfway around the world to wave a flag. You move it to engage. This deployment signals that intelligence agencies are anticipating a large-scale kinetic event involving Iran. The chessboard has been reset. The pieces are in motion. And the first casualty of this motion will be the just-in-time delivery model that keeps your grocery store shelves stocked. But the movement of the aircraft carrier is just the steel tip of the spear. The real economic damage is being done by the cowardly retreat of the merchant marine. Look at the behavior of the shipping giants. They know more than you do. They have better insurance actuaries than you do. And they are running for the exits. Just this week. The shipping giant CMA CGM reversed its decision to return to the Suez Canal. Think about the gravity of that reversal. Days ago, they were projecting confidence. They were selling you the idea of normalcy. Then, suddenly, they cited a complex international context and pulled the plug. This is not a corporate strategy change. This is a survival reflex. They know what is waiting for them in the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. They know that the United States Navy cannot guarantee their safety. When a corporation values the hull of its ship more than the profit of a shortcut, you know the threat level is existential. This reversal by CMA, CGM, and the hesitant gambling of Maersk signals that the Red Sea is effectively closed for business. Do not listen to the press releases. Look at the insurance premiums. The war risk premiums for transiting this region have doubled in the last week alone. Insurance is the only honest pricing mechanism left in a manipulated world. The actuaries are telling you that the route is a death trap. This means that the entire logistical architecture of the Eurasian trade route is being rewritten in real time. Ships are being forced to route around the Cape of Good Hope. This is not a minor detour. This is a logistical catastrophe. It adds 10 to 14 days to every single journey. It burns millions of gallons of additional bunker fuel. It removes roughly 8% of the global fleet capacity simply by keeping ships on the water longer. This is an artificial contraction of supply. And when supply contracts while demand remains constant, prices do not just rise. They go vertical. But this logistical nightmare is just the surface layer. The rot goes deeper. The decision to divert the USS Abraham Lincoln confirms that the United States military is preparing for an escalation that goes beyond simple piracy patrols. They are tracking the Iranian surveillance ship Arvan, which has been shadowing the carrier group. This is a game of cat and mouse played with a nuclear asset. The intelligence suggests that both sides are preparing for a decisive engagement. If a kinetic event erupts in the Persian Gulf or the Strait of Hormuz, we are not talking about delayed Amazon packages. We are talking about an energy crisis that will make 1973 look like a mild inconvenience. The Strait of Hormuz is the jugular vein of the hydrocarbon economy. If the Red Sea is the artery, Hormuz is the heart, and the archivist system indicates that the heart is about to go into cardiac arrest. The implications for your portfolio are binary. You are either hedged against chaos or you are long on vulnerability. The markets are currently pricing in a soft landing. They are pricing in a resolution. This is a delusion. The bond market is asleep at the wheel. The equity market is dancing on the edge of a volcano. The only asset class that is reacting with any semblance of sanity is the physical commodities sector, specifically the monetary metals. While the paper markets try to suppress the price, the physical mechanisms are screaming. The closure of these shipping lanes does not just affect sneakers and televisions, it affects the movement of strategic resources, it affects the flow of copper, zinc, and silver concentrates from the mines of South America to the smelters of Asia. We are seeing a convergence of military necessity and logistical failure. The United States cannot fight a two-front war. It cannot secure the North Atlantic against Russian aggression while simultaneously policing the Red Sea and the South China Sea. The pivot of the Abraham Lincoln tells us that the United States has chosen its battlefield. It has chosen the Middle East. This leaves other areas exposed. It leaves the Arctic exposed. It leaves the supply lines in the Pacific exposed. This is the definition of imperial overstretch. And historically, imperial overstretch is the precursor to currency collapse. When the hegemon can no longer guarantee safe passage for global commerce, the premium on the hegemon's currency evaporates. The dollar is backed by the assurance that the United States Navy can keep the sea lanes open. That assurance is currently being rerouted around Africa. The shipping industry is the circulatory system of the global economy. When you introduce a clot in the Red Sea, the pressure builds up everywhere else. We are already seeing freight rates from the Far East to Europe bottoming out and preparing for a violent spike. This is the whiplash effect. The volatility is toxic to supply chains. Manufacturers cannot plan. Retailers cannot stock. The just-in-time model relies on predictability. There is no predictability left. There is only volatility, and volatility is expensive. Who pays for that expense? You do. You pay for it at the gas pump. You pay for it at the grocery store. You pay for it in the devaluation of your labor. The systemic purge of the logistics sector is creating a stagflationary environment that central banks are powerless to fight. They can print money, but they cannot print shipping containers. They cannot print safe passage through a war zone. They cannot print a new Suez Canal. The archivist warns you that this is not a temporary disruption. This is a structural break. The comparison to the Suez Crisis of 1956 is mathematically valid. That event marked the end of the British Empire's ability to project power. The events of 2026 are marking the end of the unipolar American order. When the world's largest shipping companies ignore the assurances of the United States Navy and choose to sail the long way around Africa, they are casting a vote of no confidence in American power. That vote is binding, and the market will eventually ratify it with a repricing of all dollar-denominated assets. The illusion of stability is maintained by the ignorance of the masses. Most people do not track carrier strike groups. Most people do not read maritime insurance reports. They wait for the news anchor to tell them to panic. By the time the news anchor tells you to panic, the shelves will already be empty. The smart money is already moving. We are seeing a quiet exit from paper assets into physical reality. The smart money knows that if the Strait of Hormuz becomes a kinetic zone, oil goes to $150 a barrel. If oil goes to $150, the entire derivatives complex melts down. The counterparty risk becomes infinite. This is why you need to hold assets that have no counterparty risk, assets that do not rely on a shipping lane remaining open, assets that do not rely on an insurance actuary's algorithm The convergence of the carrier diversion and the commercial shipping retreat creates a perfect storm for hyperinflation in imported goods. We are about to witness a cost-push inflation shock that will make the post-pandemic supply chain issues look like a dress rehearsal. The capacity of the global fleet is effectively shrinking by 8% due to the longer transit times. But demand is not shrinking. This mathematical imbalance can only be resolved by price. Higher prices for everything. And if you think the central banks can hike rates to fight this, you are mistaken. You cannot hike rates to clear a blockage in the Bab el-Mandeb. You cannot hike rates to sink a drone swarm. The tools of the financial architects are useless in the face of kinetic physics. This is the reality of the iceberg protocol. What you see on the surface is a single aircraft carrier turning around. What lies beneath is a mountain of systemic risk that is about to tear the hull of the global economy wide open. The pressure has been building since late 2023. It is now reaching a breaking point. The fracture is visible. The Abraham Lincoln is the flare gun. It has been fired. The question is, are you watching the sky? Or are you staring at your phone? The disruption in the Red Sea is also acting as a catalyst for a much darker phenomenon, the weaponization of supply chains. We are seeing a shift from global trade based on efficiency to global trade based on security. Nations are scrambling to secure resources. We see this in the behavior of Chinese entities bypassing Western price discovery mechanisms to buy raw silver concentrate directly at the ports in Mexico. They are securing the physical material before it even enters the global shipping network. They know that the shipping network is compromised. They are front-running the logistics collapse. While Western investors are trading paper contracts on the COMEX, Eastern entities are taking physical possession at the source. They are draining the mines before the metal even reaches the vault. This is the behavior of actors who anticipate a total breakdown of the maritime order. They are not hedging against a recession. They are hedging against a cessation of trade. The carrier diversion confirms their fears. The United States is signaling that it will defend its strategic interests. But it cannot defend the entire system. It is prioritizing the Persian Gulf over the Red Sea. It is prioritizing energy security over consumer goods. This is a triage situation. The global policeman is deciding which neighborhoods to patrol and which neighborhoods to abandon. And if you live in a neighborhood that relies on cheap imports from Asia, you have just been abandoned. The financial intelligence is clear. The Red Sea is closing. The Persian Gulf is heating up. The United States Navy is repositioning for combat. The shipping giants are fleeing. The insurance markets are screaming. And the price of every physical commodity is about to reflect the true cost of this chaos. The window for preparation is closing as fast as the blast doors on a carrier's flight deck. The system is blinking red. The archivist has logged the anomaly. The Abraham Lincoln has made its turn. The timeline has shifted. You need to ask yourself a very simple question. A question that cuts through the noise of the media and the lies of the politicians. When the supply chain snaps, when the oil tankers stop moving, when the cost of shipping a container triples overnight, what do you own that is real? What do you own that is within your physical grasp? Because in a world where the sea lanes are war zones, possession is not 9/10 of the law. Possession is the only law. Do not underestimate the significance of the complex international context cited by CMA-CGM. This is corporate speak, for we know something bad is coming. Corporations do not sacrifice profit for vague anxieties. They sacrifice profit only when the alternative is total loss. They are seeing the same intelligence reports that redirected the Abraham Lincoln. They are seeing the convergence of the three vectors of collapse: the silver breakout, the kinetic closure of the Red Sea, and the diplomatic fracture between the US and Europe. They are bracing for impact. You should be too. The narrative of a soft landing is a lullaby designed to keep you asleep while the ship sinks. The reality is a hard closure of the trade routes that built the modern world. We are moving from an era of abundance to an era of scarcity, from an era of just in time to an era of just in case, from an era of paper wealth to an era of physical survival. The aircraft carrier has turned around. The die is cast. The simulation is entering a new phase. I want you to perform a personal audit right now. I want you to walk into your pantry. I want you to look at your medicine cabinet. I want you to check your fuel reserves. Do not just think about it. Physically look at it. Count the days of survival you have sitting on those shelves. If the ships stop coming tomorrow, how long do you last? Do not give me a vague answer. Do not tell me, I'll be fine. Give me a number. Is it 3 days? Is it 7 days? Is it 0? Do not silence your conscience. Silence is complicity with your own destruction. If your number is 0, you are a volunteer victim. You are standing on the tracks watching the train coming. I want you to write your number down in the comments below. Prove to me that you are awake. Prove to me that you understand the signal sent by the USS Abraham Lincoln. Write the number of days you can survive without the global supply chain. If you are too afraid to write it, then you already know the answer. And that answer is an indictment of your preparedness. The archivist is watching. The system is recording. End of transmission.